Welcome to the What's Important Now broadcast. In America today, we are witnessing a cultural shift. This is the show devoted to the battle for the soul of our country. Join our host, Tom Sears, as he explains the issues of our day and join the fight to bring values and morality back. Let's join Tom now as he shares What's Important Now.
And welcome inside of this edition of What's Important Now. I'm Tom Sears. Thanks for being a part of our program. It's jam-packed full for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot express enough how important it is for you to subscribe on iTunes. Follow us on the Spreaker app. Follow us at blogtalkradio.com. So important. iHeartRadio, Spotify. But I really believe the best source for you would be iTunes if you have an Apple iPhone. If not, Google Podcast also works. So, again, Spreaker.com, Podpoint.com. We are on multiple platforms. But for this FM version of our program, I have 30 minutes, and that's all. So I want to get to it. Our mailing address is 8901 Good Hope Pike, Lost Creek, West Virginia, 26385. We're still asking for your help. We have plans for expansion. Those plans cannot come to fruition without help. And so if you would like to donate to our program, make checks payable to Action Ministries and send it to 8901 Good Hope Pike, Lost Creek, West Virginia, 26385. As you know, as a faithful listener, I never ask for money. But we are asking for your support now because we have plans to expand and to take this battle all across the nation. It's important, we feel, to have that voice. So our email address is what'simportantnowradio@gmail.com. You can contact me there personally, and I'll get back to you personally. Okay, let's get to it. By the way, when I get done with the main portion of the program today, I have a bit of a tribute for someone that I want to share. Again, that'll be towards the end, so stick around for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the cat, well, it's out of the bag. Now, I had always hoped that when women understood that what they were aborting was an actual living person, they would be more compassionate and there would be less abortions. Well, my hopes, they've been shattered. We are living in a time of pure evil. Science and technology are revealing what most level-headed individuals already knew, and that is that life begins at conception. And states have been passing bills or laws called heartbeat laws. Now, most recently, that happened in Louisiana. Now, these laws are being challenged in the federal courts, and it's no doubt on its way to the Supreme Court. Georgia is one state facing a lot of backlash as they passed a heartbeat bill. A heartbeat bill makes an abortion illegal after a heartbeat can be detected. And what we're told is that an ultrasound can actually detect a heartbeat as early as 8 weeks. So, where there's a heartbeat, there is life. Now, to me, all those pro-choice individuals that have always said that it's not a life, it's only a blob of tissue, well, surely they would now accept that the baby is, in fact, a living person. But they don't seem to care. They continue to rattle off the same old lines, like, you can't tell a woman what to do with her body. Well, it's not her body that's being destroyed. It's another living person, as it has its own heartbeat. These individuals that are supporting this garbage are completely and totally off the rails. Now, if you don't believe me, take a look at a story coming out of Alabama. In the last couple of weeks, Alabama passed a pro-life bill that was to protect babies. One state legislator named Garland Gudger has learned what opposing choice will do. Since voting for the pro-life bill, his wife has been threatened with rape, and his son has been the target of harassment. So apparently, now in this nation, when you don't get what you want, you commit violent crimes. We should not be surprised by this, considering they are supporting such a violent procedure as abortion, and in some states, all the way up to birth abortions. Now, what I'm about to say is going to offend. I know it, and yet I'm going to say it anyway because I do not care. The abortion industry in this nation is reminiscent of the regime under Adolf Hitler. We are now aborting babies with disabilities. We are now aborting children out of convenience. We are aborting babies of color, and at least half of Americans are okay with it. Recently on CNN, the host said, "Why are we not aborting all babies with disabilities?" I want to ask you a question, those of you that support these procedures. What is wrong with you? Listen, if you think that delivering a baby all but the head and then sucking its brains out is okay, you and I are on two separate sides of the fence. And I assure you, there is nothing you can say or do that will get me to your side. You and I cannot walk together because we do not agree. You and I cannot get along. I do not respect you, and I never will. You are evil, you are vicious, and I don't want to be around you. Now, you may say, that's very harsh, but truth, it is. Illinois just passed a bill that repeals the partial birth abortion ban, meaning that a baby can be murdered up until the day of delivery. I want you to listen to this impassioned plea, this audio that I have from State Representative Avery Bourne, who, by the way, is an expectant mother.
We hear a lot of really personal and emotional stories from the other side of the aisle on why this is so important to them. Whether or not this passes, abortion remains legal in Illinois. It remains legal, really, with broader legality than many, many other states where abortion is legal. This is a broad expansion. Not only does it repeal important provisions that put in statute what we value as a state, like protecting the women who die during an abortion, like protecting the rights that if parents object to their child's abortion, they don't have to pay for it. It takes out measures that we have legislated over the years because we think it's important to stand up for the people who are impacted. More than that, we are not requiring that this legislature will ever know how this bill is being interpreted. As I said earlier, we are talking about extensive changes in what it means for a fetal to be viable and what it means for the health of the patient to determine post-viability abortions. This bill will mean that if a baby requires extraordinary medical measures after they're born, doctors could determine up to the 40th week of pregnancy that that baby was never viable because it had to be flown to the NICU after it was born. This bill means that if the baby is viable, a doctor can determine that the post-viable abortion can still take place based on a number of factors that include familial health and the age of the woman. Familial health, by the way, we still haven't gotten any kind of definition for that could take on a broad range of applicability. This bill will mean that for a woman at my stage in pregnancy, where the baby responds to his dad's voice as he reads him books at night, the woman could go to the facility. The baby is perfectly healthy. But if that woman says, based on my familial health, this is medically necessary, that is allowed. We are talking about the most expansive bill we have seen in this state and across one of the most expansive across the country. We already know we've got women coming to Illinois to have abortions because we are so expansive on this issue. That will continue. This bill is not about keeping abortion legal in Illinois. This is about a massive expansion that will impact viable babies, and that is wrong. I would ask you all to please vote no.
The bill that she was passionately opposing passed 65-40. I want you to listen to this audio from a former abortion doctor named Anthony Levatino. He's describing the abortion procedure. I must warn you, this is graphic. Some listeners, well, you may want to turn this off. Here's the audio.
I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to get right to it. Second trimester D&E abortions perform between roughly 14 and 24 weeks of gestation. Your patient today is 17 years old. She's 22 weeks pregnant. Her baby is the length of your hand plus a couple of inches. And she's been feeling her baby kick for the last several weeks, but she's asleep on an operating room table. You walk into that operating room scrubbed and gowned, and after removing laminaria, you introduce a suction catheter into the uterus. This is a 14 French suction catheter. If she were 12 weeks pregnant or less, basically the width of your hand or smaller, you could basically do the entire procedure with this. But babies this big don't fit through catheters this size. After suctioning the amniotic fluid out from around the baby, you introduce an instrument called a Sofer clamp. It's about 13 inches long. It's made of stainless steel. The business end of this clamp is about 2.5 inches long and a half-inch wide. There are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. A D&E procedure is a blind abortion, so picture yourself introducing this and grabbing anything you can blindly and pull, and I do mean hard, and out pops a leg about that big, which you put down on the table next to you. Reach in again, pull out an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And use this instrument again and again to tear out the spine, the intestines, the heart and lungs. Head in the baby that size is about the size of a large plum. Can't see it, but you pretty good idea you've got it if you've got your instrument around something and your fingers are spread about as far as they go. You know you did it right if you crush down on the instrument and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you could pull out skull pieces. And you have a day like I had a lot of times. Sometimes a little face comes back and stares back at you. Congratulations, you just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed her right to choose.
Now, this testimony was before the House in 2012. They were discussing abortion issues. And his testimony actually continued there as he provided an explanation as to why he stopped doing abortions. Here's that audio.
One more question, Dr. Levatino. Why did you end your practice of doing abortions?
I did over 1,200 abortions over a 4-year period in private practice, not counting the ones that I did during my training. I met my wife during my first year of training at Albany Medical Center. We got married about a year later and found that we had an infertility problem. After years of failed infertility treatment and several years trying to adopt a child, we were blessed with adopting a little girl that we named Heather in August of 1978. As sometimes happens in those situations, my wife got pregnant the very next month, and we had 2 children 10 months apart. 2 months short of my daughter Heather's 6th birthday, she was killed in an auto accident and literally died in her arms in the back of an ambulance. Anyone who has children might think they have some idea of what that feels like, but unless you've been through it yourself, you have no idea whatsoever. I know people find it hard to believe, but what do you do after a disaster? You bury your child and then you go back to your life. And I don't remember exactly how long it was after my daughter died that I showed up at Albany Medical Center OR number 9 to perform my first second trimester D&E abortion. I wasn't thinking of it as anything special. This was routine to me. But I reached in, literally pulled out an arm or leg and got sick. You know, earlier on I described stacking up body parts on the side of the table. It's not to, gross people out, to use a simple term. When you do an abortion, you need to keep inventory. You have to make sure you get 2 arms and 2 legs and all the pieces. If you don't, your patient's going to come back infected, bleeding, or dead. So I soldiered on and finished that abortion. And I know it sounds, as I said, hard for people to believe, but I'm telling you straight up my experience. You know, after over 1,200 abortions, first and second trimester up to 24 weeks and all the rest of it, and being very dedicated to it, for the first time in my life, I really looked. I really looked at that pile of body parts on the side of the table. And I didn't see her wonderful right to choose, and I didn't see all the money I just made. All I could see was somebody's son or daughter. And I stopped doing late-term abortions after that, and several months later stopped doing all abortions.
I'm sorry if you think that that is okay. Something is wrong. I simply cannot wrap my mind around how anyone can think it's okay. Now, with all of that, I want to point something else out to you today. I mentioned that Georgia has passed a ban on abortions if there's a heartbeat that is detected. Well, liberal media, the media outlets, Hollywood elites, they are calling for a boycott of making films or television shows in Georgia. They claim they are standing up for women's right by calling for this boycott. Well, I am calling for a boycott of these media elites and actors and actresses. And as they become more vocal in their boycotting of Georgia, I will become more vocal and let you know who they are. So, some of them have made themselves known already. Some notable names: Ron Howard. Yes, Opie. He's come a long way from Mayberry, and he's boycotting Georgia. So, boycott his movies. And then there's Alyssa Milano. What show was she in back in the day? I forget. I would say boycott her movies, but, well, I'm at a loss. I have nothing. Then there's media giant Netflix. Netflix is threatening to pull out of Georgia as well. So, I'm calling all Netflix subscribers, if you're pro-life, don't give them another dime until they change course. Now, I've been a Netflix subscriber since they started way back when they were mailing DVDs to my home. I am no longer supporting them. Disney, they say they won't make movies in Georgia. So, I won't support them either. And let's be honest, they've been pushing the wrong message to our children for years. And then there's CBS and NBC. Well, they're threatening to join Netflix and Disney, and if they do, I will let you know. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the choice is yours. Don't complain if you're not willing to stand up for what's right. If your shows on Netflix mean more to you than innocent lives, then just ignore everything I've said. But if lives mean more, then stand up for life, even if it makes yours a little more inconvenient. I believe it's California who's recently passed an assisted suicide bill, and several states have that. Now they are discussing whether they may take dialysis away from those needing it and just let them die. This is the society in which we live today. This program will stand up for life. We will fight to bring values and morality back. We will fight and battle for the soul of this country. Okay. On a positive note, the world's smallest surviving premature baby, weighing less than 9 ounces, heads home from the hospital. Sabi is now 5 months old and is proof that we are, in fact, destroying life through abortion. Sabi was only 23 weeks gestation. She's now going home, and that puts a smile on my face. I want to end my program today with a tribute. I have mentioned a gentleman on my program many times before. And I mention him because he had, and really I should say, has such a profound impact on my life. This man taught history in public education for over 40 years. And I've told you before that I wasn't always the best when I was a teenager. Many would have voted me least likely to succeed, but not this man. On the last day of school, well, for me, as a teenager, as a senior, he said, "Tom Sears, people will not believe where you are in 10 years. They don't see what's inside of you, your heart." I knew when he said it, he was right. Not about where I would end up, but I knew my heart had not been revealed. Several days later, I felt the call to preach. Now, this man is well known for teaching his students that those who fail to learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them. It's one of the foundations of this program. I feel very strongly that we have to look back so that we go in the right direction. This man taught so many the truth about what history is. And this man, he's given his life for the cause of others. And he's entering into retirement. Sir, thank you. Thank you for asking me and so many others that Dr. Francis Schaeffer question, how should we then live? Thank you for standing up against the odds, and thank you for being such a dedicated educator. Your service is already bringing forth fruit. So many students have been blessed to call you teacher, and I am one of them. Go off and enjoy your retirement. I know our Heavenly Father is well pleased. You taught us that if we were going to do anything in life, we should do it to the best of our abilities, even if we were to be a street sweeper. We should be the best street sweeper. Now, sir, be the best retiree. Enjoy it. You deserve it. I admit your shoes cannot be filled, but I will be here on this program fighting and battling for what is right, because you saw something that no one else saw. Thank you for encouraging me and supporting me. I stand in part because of you. Good job, sir. No. Great job. Okay, before we go off the air, I want to share just a couple things happening around the country and other areas that I believe would be important or valued, I should say, by many of you. Apparently, according to onenewsnow.com, many churches today have staff members beyond just the pastor and music minister, but an Atlanta church is making news with a new hire, a self-described psychic medium. LaCara Foster has been brought onto the staff of Vision Church in Atlanta. She says, "My name is LaCara Foster, and I possess an extraordinary gift. In particular, that gift is talking to the dead. No spirit with which she communicates is really of God," responds Christian apologist Dr. Alex McFarland. "She's communicating with demons and doesn't know it." McFarland, who studies and discusses the Bible daily as a co-host of Exploring the Word radio program, tells One News Now the Bible recognizes demonic activity and warns the church about it. It's just another example of how churches are becoming more like the world, and that line is so blurred. As you may know, Franklin Graham has called for prayer for our president, and he has also stated that just because he's calling for prayer for our president doesn't necessarily mean that he's endorsing our president. So, that's, I have often said, even throughout the administrations that I did not support, that we should pray for our president and for our leaders. I believe that with everything in me. Another news item, standing up for more than just a chicken sandwich, the vocal Texas-sized support for Chick-fil-A is about more than capitalism and chicken sandwiches, says an attorney who has rushed to its defense. One News Now has reported that San Antonio City Council members singled out the popular fast food chain over its donations to two religious-based organizations, those being the Salvation Army and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. When a franchise of the fast food chain appeared on a list of airport vendors, City Council members voted to drop Chick-fil-A from the contract, citing the donations, which caused an uproar for the blatant act of religious discrimination. But First Liberty Institute says that they're going to stand up to support Chick-fil-A. And, I have said on the program before that we should support Chick-fil-A, who not only has some, good chicken, it also is a company that supports family Christian values. So it's good for people to stand up. Organizations, First Liberty Institute as well. Parents, library card gets your child access to more than books. Parents are being warned their children are becoming exposed to more than just books at the local library, potentially. There are various dangers there. Pornography, various types of indoctrination as well. So just don't just drop them off at the library and let them do whatever. Make sure you're there and monitoring what they have access to. Poor Christians pay high price in fraudulent matchmaking. Christian families in Pakistan are looking to the government to stop shipping their girls to China, where many wind up being trafficked in the sex trade. Pakistan is a fertile ground for traffickers who make promises of marrying Christian girls to wealthy Chinese men. According to Fox News report earlier this month, brokers are aggressively seeking out girls for Chinese men, sometimes even cruising outside churches to ask for potential brides. They are being helped by Christian clerics, paid to target impoverished parents and their congregation with promises of wealth in exchange for their daughters. So, there's an organization called Save the Persecuted Christians if you're interested in jumping in there and helping with that as well. Okay, as we close today, just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, go to iTunes, Google Podcasts, subscribe. We are changing. We are evolving. We are growing. Maybe that's the better word. We are expanding. That's an even better word. We are going to be pushing content that will not make it to the FM stations. And I know that this program today is targeted for the FM stations as well as our podcast listeners. But if you want to stay up to date on what's happening, you definitely need to subscribe. Okay. We got it. Also, you can visit us online at what'simportantnowradio.com. There you'll get everything. Write that down, what'simportantnowradio.com, and it will update when we push new content. All right, as always, I encourage you to fight the good fight of faith, to contend for the faith. There is a cause, it does matter, and it is important now. Speaking of being important now, we need your help in expanding. If you would like to donate for this radio program, donate to Action Ministries. Our mailing address is 8901 Good Hope Pike, Lost Creek, West Virginia 26385. Our email address, what'simportantnowradio@gmail.com, and don't forget that you can visit us online at what'simportantnowradio.com. Well, thanks for being a part of our program. Thank you for being here, listening, and for all that you do. We're glad that you're partnered with us. Have a wonderful day. May everything you put your hands to prosper. This has been What's Important Now. Take care.